I know a lot of players do. I've seen this Max Cape from Scratch series where basically it's DIY, and other people have done DIY series.
What's going on, you guys? It's Brobson here, and for those of you who couldn't make out what that was, it was actually a quick clip from the RuneFest livestream in which mod JackMob addressed a question regarding a new type of currency or a server reset to fix the broken economy, and JackMob kind of just gave a quick shout out to the Max Cape from Scratch clan and also to other do-it-yourself style of gameplay players, because he said that's a great way for people to bypass the broken economy. And basically the question was addressing the fact that the GP is essentially valueless in RuneScape 3 because there's so much GP in the game and there's so much more being injected into the game each day that most of the low content items such as gear and weapons and anything below level 60 really is essentially valueless, and it takes a player no time at all to obtain the money required to buy those things. So the economy is kind of broken in the early game, and it's very easy to progress through that gear and those levels, and there's really no need to make money at those levels because everything is instantly affordable. And it was a good point, but JackMob kind of countered it well by saying that Max Cape from Scratch and do-it-yourself style of gameplay is a great way to evade that, and it's true that Max Cape from Scratch pretty much evades GP altogether. GP is the main currency used in RuneScape, but Max Cape from Scratch players essentially get rid of that completely, and you use your own resources to create your own goods, and that makes pretty much everything else valueless in the game, and it makes everything you do valued way more than it would normally be. So I think that's a great way to play, and with that being said, I've tried to come up with a way to kind of incorporate Max Cape from Scratch or do-it-yourself style of gameplay into RuneScape for over a year now, since the Max Cape from Scratch series started, and I've been trying to make its official mark on the game because I do think a huge portion of players, even non-Max Cape from Scratchers, just general do-it-yourself style of gameplay players, they exist everywhere, and they're always trying to play, and they're always trying to spread their theories, and they really enjoy playing the game that way, and I think it kind of deserves its own niche within the bigger RuneScape, so I've always been trying to find ways to do it. And if you were subscribed to my main channel, you'll have seen a few weeks back, or a few months back now, I guess, I made a forum thread asking Jagex to create a Max Cape from Scratch or do-it-yourself world where the Grand Exchange is gone and player trade is locked, so that players would basically just have a hub world to go ahead and play Max Cape from Scratch or play do-it-yourself style in, and they can all just interact together, talk about each other's experiences together, and just have a great place to play. Because it is fun to talk to non-Max Cape from Scratchers and kind of spread the good word of the series and talk to them about our experiences, but it's also great to have a place and a hub world where we can all play together, interact together, and all the players playing the same style can work together to create it. So that forum thread got a lot of interesting feedback, a lot of other ideas branched off from that one, and I've kind of compiled them all together, and I've also compiled my own thoughts and creativity into it to come up with a way that I think do-it-yourself style of gameplay and Max Cape from Scratch style of gameplay could be brought into RuneScape as an official institution. And what I came up with as a working title was basically Hard Mode RuneScape, because Jagex has introduced a lot of hard modes for different things such as PVM, or you know, the Dungeoneering now has a hard mode as well if you complete the elite task set. So I think Hard Mode RuneScape would be a way to just pretty much make everything in RuneScape developed in hard mode, and I think it would be really, really cool. The premise is basically Max Cape from Scratch, only the account is created and locked upon creation, so it would effectively be a brand new style of account. So when you log in or when you sign up for RuneScape, you register your email address and you start picking your username and things like that, you'll also get to decide whether to be a normal account or a hard mode account. And if you are a hard mode account, then as soon as your account is created, player trade will be locked, the Grand Exchange will be locked, and assists will be locked, and then there can be further player polls to determine how strict the rules will be, like whether or not to lock shop use as well, or loot share and bossing and things like that. The players would get to decide the full extent of how much is locked and what the exact rules for hard mode RuneScape are, but the premise would basically just to be to lock the Grand Exchange and player trading and assists so that players are forced to play the game completely self-sufficiently, create their own stuff, and not even interact with the economy really at all. Everything they'd produce would have to be completely self-produced, and they'd have to complete the game on their own. The real reason for this series is A, to give validity to do-it-yourself and Max Cape from Scratch style accounts, because I get accused of cheating pretty much every day in the comments, and I'm sure all the other do-it-yourself style players who've done some pretty crazy things. Like for myself, I got 90 crafting by doing 600 temple treks and then turning all of the reward tokens into silver bars and crafting them into 100,000 silver tiaras. So that took me virtually forever, and that's a pretty crazy feat to have said that you've done, but if you said that to any player normally in-game, they would just immediately call bullshit. So the hard mode RuneScape would be a way to fully validate those accounts, and it would also be a way to pretty much reinvent RuneScape and make it a lot more fun. Because I personally know a lot of real-life friends who quit RuneScape over the years because they just complained that RuneScape was getting too easy, and several other people who have just quit because they got bored with content over time and they lacked the ability to recreate content and make it renewed and refreshed for themselves. So hard mode RuneScape would introduce a way for all players to be able to reinvent the entire game and see it in a whole new light. Because I know personally, before I played MaxScape from scratch, I never really understood the whole point of do-it-yourself or from-scratch style of gameplay. But when I finally decided to just go for it, it reinvented the entire game for me. It made me look at everything in a brand new light, and instead of now thinking about camping frost dragons to make 2 mil per hour so I can get my 99s as quickly as possible, I'm sitting here for hours a day trying to plan out skills and how much of this will I have to fish to get this cooking level, and nothing is related to GP anymore. I'm not really relating anything to money or really speed. It's all more thought-provoking, and it's really requires planning and effort, and it's also a ton of fun just to be self-sufficient. And I think it would really recreate the game, and it would bring back players who have quit for other reasons. It would save new players from quitting, and it would just reinvent the entire game. I think it would also help balance the economy slightly, because with more players or a greater quantity of players trying this thing out, there would be less of a broken system and less people camping to inject money into the current economy, and maybe it would help to rebalance things in the future. Who knows? That's kind of an unrelated topic. But in addition to just creating the hard mode style of account, we would ask for a hard mode RuneScape world, kind of like there are many different minigame worlds and things like that, just so we'd all have a hub world to play together in. Obviously, hard mode accounts would be able to play in any world in RuneScape and interact with non-hard mode players as well, but it'd still be great to have kind of a hard mode world in which all of us could log into, hang out, and maybe lock the hard mode world so that only hard mode players can get into it, and that way resources are saved and we're not competing with the non-hard mode players to get resources. Maybe only hard mode players could get into that world. It would be really fun to go ahead and interact with only hard mode players. And lastly, I would also suggest, hopefully, that they give us some sort of in-game icon so we could differentiate ourselves in-game from normal players as well. Kind of like how player moderators have a silver crown next to their name, and gold crown means a Jagex moderator. Maybe hard mode players could just get a little asterisk or something small next to their name, maybe even just like a little HM, like hard mode, on their shirt in-game to prove that they are indeed hard mode players, and just a little thing to differentiate them and give themselves the credit they deserve, so that all of their players walking around the world would know that they are indeed hard mode players who have chosen from the beginning of their account to play completely from scratch without player trade or assist, and force themselves to do everything self-sufficiently. I think it's a great idea. I think it's really something that could obviously happen in the future if it gains enough support, so I wanted to make this video to spread the word and to kind of get the idea out there. If any of you guys who watch this video think that it is a good idea or something that should be implemented in the future, feel free to re-upload this video to your channel. Also, feel free to send it to other RuneScape video makers to see what they think. Feel free to send it to bigger YouTubers, inbox them, do whatever you want to do. Just get this video out there, get this idea out there. I think it's a great one. It's one that I definitely couldn't have come up with on my own, but with the feedback of the community, with feedback from Jagex, and obviously recognition from a Jagex moderator, and also having played through this content for 2 years and constantly developing and changing my thought process on how to make its mark in RuneScape officially, I think this could be something that really does take off and something that could hopefully one day be implemented into RuneScape. So remember to share this video, show it to other people. If you think it's a good idea, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you don't think it's a good idea, or you think there's a better way that all of these things could be implemented in-game, feel free to leave a dislike on the video and comment letting me know those as well. But either way, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. I hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts and my opinions on this subject, and I will see you tomorrow with a new video.